So, hello everybody and welcome. Yes, welcome back here at BSN Network. Yuki back here, BSN Network. This is BSN Network Podcast here today. It is Monday, August 16th. Hopefully everybody's having a day so far and a good rest of their day yesterday. It is, in fact, Monday, August 16th here today. Hopefully everybody had a good weekend coming off of another big weekend in sports, football, and baseball. We're on over the weekend. And if you're, including if you're watching any of the NBA Summer League action, that continued throughout the weekend. So a lot on tap for today's podcast and a lot to review that happened over the weekend. We all start, obviously, start kind of the weekend, and the end of the week was with the Field of Dreams game. And then on Friday, you had the day off for the Yankees and all that. Mets played on Friday, they lost. And then you go into the weekend, you had the Saturday, you had the Yankees game and the White Sox. Then you also had the Jets-Giants preseason game. Loved what I saw out of Zach Wilson. I really thought he looked comfortable. He made some really good throws. He had a really nice third down conversion. I think for a guy's debut, for 2 drives, I think he looked smooth. He looked crisp. He looked like he was ready for game action. It wasn't one of those things where he went 1 of 8 for 15 yards and 2 interceptions. No, he went, I believe, 6 of 9 for 63 yards, 10.5 yards per throw. And, hey, that was his day. Obviously, given that it's preseason, he's not going to play the whole game. He played 2 possessions. He got the job done. They kicked a field goal while he was out there, including some nice third down conversions. And the 1 4th down conversion wasn't his fault. I mean, the running back just got stuffed. Ty Johnson, I believe, was the guy that was running, just got stuffed at the line of scrimmage. And that's not the quarterback's fault. That's just, the defensive line collapsing and the offensive line collapsing and the offensive line not able to stand their ground. So I like the tempo that the Jets brung and all that stuff. So I'm going to get to that as a second topic. It is preseason, so I don't want to overhype too much. I don't want to get too excited because it's 1 preseason game. You still got 2 more preseason games, and then you got the entire 18-week, 17-game slate that's going to be coming up here, obviously, in September. So, don't want to overreact, but there is definitely things that you could take away from these games. So, that happened. You got the Yankees and the Mets. Yankees, after the Field of Dreams loss, the tough loss, we all know what happened. I still can't fully get over it because it's just one of those things where you're looking at the record and you say that could have been a 3-game sweep of arguably one of the best teams in baseball. You can make the argument the best team in the American League. So, I'm sitting here looking and I'm like, we could have had a full 3-game sweep against them. And, we didn't, but hey, we took 2 out of 3. I said after the Field of Dreams game, we got to find a way to win 2 out of 3. We got the job done. We took 2 out of 3. They were all close games. They weren't easy, but that's how it's been this entire year. None of these games have been easy. None of these wins have been easy. I mean, let's be honest. Winning is not an easy thing to do. It's always going to take some key performances, some key moments in the game. It's never easy. Winning is not an easy thing to do. And for this season, especially for the New York Yankees, winning hasn't come easy. And they find a way yet again to win 2 more games by the jaws of defeat. And they find a way to win 2 more games. So they won on Saturday 7-5, and they win on Sunday 5-3 rather. So Yankees take 2 out of 3. Mets, as we expected, get swept by the Los Angeles Dodgers. Get out those brooms. Mets fans, you should be worried as the Mets go down. They lose 3 against the Los Angeles Dodgers. And we all talking about, maybe possibly having, maybe you get 1 out of 3 against the Dodgers and maybe you take 1 against the, maybe you win 5-6 games. Well, that's not a good start because out these 13-game stretch, you got 10 more games to go. And that's not a good start, I'll tell you that for sure, getting swept by the Dodgers. So now they'll head out to the West Coast, play the Giants tonight, start of that series, then they'll play the Dodgers again, then they'll play the Giants again. So it's not easy. Mets continue to struggle. We'll get to them. And they play today against the Dodgers, or the Giants rather. And the Yankees have a weird homestand. They have one game today against the Angels, and then they have 2 games tomorrow against the Red Sox. Then they have another game on Wednesday against the Red Sox. So a super weird homestand. Yankees will have a game today against the Angels. It's a makeup game. So it's 1 game, and then the Yankees will be home to host Boston tomorrow for a doubleheader. So it's pretty quick, not long, It's very weird homestand, with having one game on a Monday. This was technically supposed to be an off day, but it's not. So either way, Yankees play today against the Angels. Mets open up a series against the Giants. Alrighty, so let's get to the topics for today's podcast. As I just mentioned, Yankees and Mets over the weekend. We'll get to those. We'll recap their series, recap their games. Like I said, I want to get to the Yankees. I want to talk about them, but I also want to get to the Mets and just get to their continuing struggles. 3-7 in their last 10, and they've now dropped 3 in a row, and all those came to the Dodgers. I mean, what do we expect? We don't expect them to go in and sweep the Dodgers. But at least if you're a Mets, at least if you're the Mets, maybe try to find a way to just sneak out one win. And it's not an easy thing to do. I mean, even if the Yankees played the Dodgers, it would not be an easy thing to do, right? The Dodgers are arguably the best team in baseball. So it's not the best. It's not an easy thing to do. They're definitely the 2 best teams in the National League they're going up against. So I want to talk about the Yankees and the Mets. Preview, what's to come up this week, and then, just get into the playoff picture like I usually do. Just throughout the season, I do these updates, so we'll get into those. Then I want to get into the Jets and the Giants recap, Zach Wilson, kind of everything in one. I liked what I saw from Zach Wilson. I liked what I saw from this offense. Denzel Mims looked good. There's definitely some things that do still need to be fixed. I mean, I don't think we have our kicker down pat yet. I definitely think there's going to be some moves in the secondary that's going to have to be made, some mixing and mashing moves. But all in all, I thought we played really well game. I thought we played a good game. It was solid. It looked good. And like I said, it's one preseason game. We're not going to sit here and celebrate like we just won a Super Bowl. But for a young team, there is a lot that you could take away from preseason games, given that we are, I believe, the youngest roster in the NFL. And these guys are growing. A lot of these guys are seeing their first game action. So there is a lot you could take away, but I'm not going to overhype things too much. So we'll get into that. And then we'll get into the New York Sports Update, finish off the podcast with the update. Yankees today, Mets today. It's kind of funny because the Yankees would have had an off day today, but that's not the case. Rain, back when the Angels were here for the 4-game set, you had all the rain. So it's going to be weird. 1-game series, it's going to be odd. The Angels got to get all the way out to the East Coast to New York to now just play the Yankees, and they got to go all the way back to their next destination, which I could figure out right now. After this series, the Angels will then go to Detroit. So they'll fly out to Detroit for 3. So I guess it's better than going all the way home, having 3 games at home, let's say over the weekend. They were home over the weekend, I believe. Yeah, they were home over the weekend. And then having a day off and then playing another home game. Instead, you got to fly all the way out to play the Yankees and all the way back to, Los Angeles. It all depends, or Anaheim, wherever. But then they have 3 more against the Tigers. So I guess it's not awful, but it is definitely, I'm sure they're not overly excited about it, having to fly out for 1 game. But it is what it is. That's what happens when it rains. So anyway, with all that being said, this is the BSN podcast, and let's get right into it. So we're coming off of another packed weekend of baseball. And I know I say that a lot. I do. I know I say that a lot. Packed weekend, night in baseball, big night in baseball, all that stuff. I do say that a lot. But hey, it's been the truth. It's really how it's been. That's how it's been all year, and it's continuing to how it's been, and especially the fact that 2 New York baseball teams are in the hunt for the playoffs and are in the hunt to try and win their division. Now, let's be honest here. The Mets are struggling, but they're not eliminated, right? The Yankees are playing good, but they're also not in yet. So both sides, Yankees and the Mets are still both competing for a playoff spot. I mean, it's the truth. Yes, the Mets look lost right now, and yes, it seems like their wheels are falling off their car, falling off their train. However, it is, it looks like the wheels are falling off the tracks are getting blown up here. Their train's going off the tracks right now. It does seem like that, but it is still crucial games. And over the weekend, the New York Yankees had some big games. We all talked about the Field of Dreams game, and that was an awesome game. I talked about it on Friday. If you want to hear my thoughts, you can go to the podcast on Friday. It was awesome. It was a great spectacle by MLB. Ratings were up. It was the highest rated baseball game, I think, since 2008 or something. It was insane. It was a great event. It was awesome. Highest baseball event, 16 years? I don't even know. But it was a great event, all that stuff. And then the Yankees had to go back to reality. And there's that part of you where as a Yankee fan, I think you're just happy that the Field of Dreams game was successful. It was awesome. Yes, the Yankees lost, but it was just a great event for baseball. And then you went back to reality, and you had to go to Chicago and play 2 more. And on Friday, we were all thinking like, all right, now it's back to reality. Like, you got to head to Chicago. You're playing in a normal stadium. This is almost where like now it's like back to now it's back to reality, like a punch in the face. Like, let's go. We ain't playing a Field of Dreams for this entire series, if you follow what I'm saying. Then you won the 2 games in Chicago, and that is exactly what the Yankees needed to do. Now, yes, we were 2 outs away from sweeping them, but Britton blew the game. And I'm not going to, dwell on that, because I'm not going to be a guy that's going to say, oh, what if you put this guy or that guy in? I don't like that. I'm not going to be that guy. But it's the truth. But the fact that the Yankees took 2 out of 3 over the weekend is huge. And against, arguably, not just one of the best teams in the American League, but one of the best teams in baseball right now. I mean, a lot of people think that the White Sox are a team that can make a deep postseason run. We're not talking about making the ALDS and losing. We're talking about ALCS, maybe World Series. We are talking about a really talented baseball team. And for a New York Yankees team who, not that they're not talented, but we know that they've had rough patches throughout the season. They've struggled sometimes against the better competition, the Boston Red Sox, the Tampa Bay Rays, teams like that. We've seen them struggle. It is a huge statement series win for the New York Yankees to beat the White Sox 2 out of 3. It is huge, especially how the series started. You had the odd day off on Friday. I'll tell you what, the Yankees caught the White Sox sleeping this series. Because the White Sox, I think, were still all happy that they won the Field of Dreams game and all that stuff. Yankees were focused at the task at hand, and they got the job done. And thanks to big hits from Joey Gallo, Aaron Judge, some big catches by Brett Gardner, Albert Abreu coming in and getting his first save. This was collectively a very solid team weekend. Now, sure, Chad Green blew the game on Saturday. Yankees were able to find a way to come back. If the Yankees lose on Saturday, and let's say they win yesterday, we have a completely different look on the weekend. But still, right now, like I said, I'm not going to sit here and play the what-if game. They won on Saturday, and they won on Sunday, and that's all that matters. They won 7-5 on Saturday. It came down to the wire, but clutch hitting by the Yankees. And we've talked about this entire year. Yankees have not been able to hit with runners in scoring position. It's been awful. It's been terrible. It's been embarrassing. We would get runners on first and second, nobody out. Well, there's a ground into a double play, or, okay, all right, maybe we bunt and we get the guy to third, second and third, one out. There's a strikeout and there's a fly out. That's how it's been for the New York Yankees. It's been second or third base, one out. There's a strikeout, there's a ground out, or something like that. Or a fly out, but it's not short. It's too short to get the runner in. Something like that's how it's been this entire year for the Yankees. I'm not trying to be negative, but I'm just saying. Over the weekend, Yankees capitalized on their opportunities. Judge coming up with some big hits. I love the one hit. I think this was in the first game, I believe, where he took a ball. It kind of was in on him. He just stayed with it, and he just took that thing to right field, and it got a run in. That is a beautiful piece of hitting. That's what I call situational hitting. Where the ball's pitched, you hit it there, right, great contact, stayed through it. Instead of trying to turn around on that pitch and hit a home run, he stayed through that pitch and hit that thing to right field. I forget who scored. I believe someone scored on the play or it advanced the runner. Either way, I don't know who scored. I forget. But it was a great piece of hitting. And over the weekend, Yankees scored with runners on. And that's something that's really positive. And we saw Albert Abreu get his first save. As we all know, now bullpen's still a question. And hopefully it gets progressively better. I mean, you're always going to hit rough patches. I think at this point right now, the Yankees their bullpen's in an interesting situation because there's so many guys that you're losing trust in, like a Zach Britton. Chad Green blew the save the other day. You're all of a sudden, it's not even that it's like injured. It's just it's the point, and they're overused too. But it's the point now where you're like limiting your choices because you can't trust the guy coming in the bottom of the ninth with a one-run lead, or if you're home, you can't trust the guy coming in with the top of the ninth with a one-run lead anymore. The choices are getting limited. You can still go out and get, see Loaiza, what he can do and all that stuff. But, and the Yankees too, they get a big boost today. They get Garrett Cole back. So they get a huge boost. And that's big because getting a boost back like that, getting your ace back in the rotation is going to be big. Now, I am interested to see what they decide to do with his pitch count, what they decide to do with his innings. I have heard that he's lost some weight with his COVID. So, you wonder how his stamina is going to be. You wonder kind of just how he's going to pitch. So, this might not be a game where Yankee fans might say, "Oh, let's see if he can give us 9 innings." No. He's probably going to throw you 80, 85 pitches in about 5, 6 innings. About that. So, and I think Boone would be very happy if he can give you 6 innings of 1-2 run ball, 7, 8 strikeouts. That would be a very quality start for Garrett Cole coming off of COVID. And I have heard, like I just said, he did lose some weight. So, you just wonder how that's going to impact him. You got to hope that he's okay and that he just can go out and just be the Garrett Cole that we're used to seeing, and that's a dominant pitcher. But we'll see. So he gets to start tonight, which is a big boost. And, hey, your bullpen's taxed. You need some length. Garrett Cole's the guy that can do it. He's pitched 9 innings, 8 innings. He can give you length. Now, it's going to be interesting to see what they do with him. Maybe they just throw him out there and depending on how the game goes, they keep him. Let's say it's a 7-0 game and he's at 70 pitches. Maybe you then take him out and say, hey, we're not going to overwork you. Something like that. We'll see. Yankees do need to put up runs, though, because it does make the decision easier. Right? If it's a 7-0 game and the Yankees are dominating the Angels in the 5th inning and Garrett Cole's got 60 pitches, Yankees might say, hey, your night's over. It's 7-0. We don't need you to throw 30, 40 more pitches and finish this game out. Night's over. We'll head to the bullpen now. We got a comfortable 7-0 lead. That could be an option. We'll see. But it's a big boost. So Yankees against the Angels today. Then you have 2 tomorrow against Red Sox. Can't stand doubleheaders, but you got 2 tomorrow. Tuesday at 1 o'clock. Tuesday at 7. So 2 7-inning doubleheaders. And then you got 1 game on Wednesday, which is just a regular game, not a doubleheader. Then you have 4 against Minnesota, which I think is going to be a golden opportunity to take 4 against them. You could take 3 out of 4 against Minnesota. 4. I mean, Minnesota's a struggling team. 52-66 on the season. Golden opportunity against them. And then you head on the road, Braves. Then you head on the West Coast trip and so on and so forth. That will end out the month of August and into September. So, you look at the rest of August schedule, and it's not difficult. I mean, the Angels are a beatable team. Red Sox right now are struggling. Now, we'll see if the Yankees can beat the Red Sox this time around, but they're struggling, so maybe you catch the Red Sox at the right time. Minnesota's a very winnable series. Braves are hot, but they're not they're a beatable team. We've seen that throughout the year. They haven't been a dominant force this season, so we'll see. But like I said, really happy that the Yankees went out and took 2 out of 3 against Chicago. That is a huge series win. Yankees very well after that Field of Dreams loss could have just dwelled on it and sat there and just been like, you know what, so frustrated, all that stuff. And they could have went in there and went down without a fight and got swept. But no, they erased that. They erased that game. They put that game in rear view. Friday was, I think, a big day off for them. I think they reset their mindset, went into Saturday's game, got the big win, and yesterday finished it off with the series victory against a very good team. We're not talking about a series victory against the Baltimore Orioles. We're not talking about a series victory against the Diamondbacks, who, yes, they did throw a no-hitter this weekend, Tyler Gilbert. But other than that, they've not had a successful season. We did not win a series against the Texas Rangers or the Minnesota Twins. We beat a very good Chicago White Sox team, and that is very promising and super, super big for the playoff chase. So let's get to the standings, and then we'll get to the Mets. Yankees right now, 65-52 on the season. 5.56 winning percentage, 5.5 back of first place in the American League, and they're 7-3 in their last 10 and on a 2-game win streak. Red Sox are 3 games back, and the Rays are in first place. Oh, by the way, Blue Jays, if it means anything, they're 7.5 back right now, and they are 5-5 in their last 10, and they are on a 1-game win streak. Alrighty, and let's get to the wild card here. Yankees are 2.5 games back of a wild card spot, 65-52 on the season. They're obviously 7-3 in their last 10. The A's and the Red Sox right now have the 2 wild card spots in the American League. So the A's right now are 8-2 in their last 10. They lost yesterday though, and they're 68-50 on the year. Red Sox have the second wild card spot. They're 69-51, and like I mentioned earlier, 3-game win streak. They're 5-5 in their last 10, and for whatever it's worth, the Blue Jays, who are still on the outside looking in, they're 4.5 back. And then if you really want to get extended, the Seattle Mariners are 5.5 back. It's not going to be easy for the Mariners. I think at this point the only chance for the Mariners is to try and win their division, which they're 8 games back of the AL West right now, which isn't going to be easy. And you got the A's in that division, and the Astros are the first place team, so we'll see how that goes. We'll see what happens with them. But hey, Yankees 2.5 back. So and this is against the Red Sox. You take 2 out of 3 there, or even if you sweep that little 3-game doubleheader, whatever series, that's big. That's huge. So big series still coming up for the Yankees. But a big series win over the weekend. And, I can't stress that enough. Coming off of that tough loss, you put that thing in the rear view, and you get the job done in great fashion over the weekend. Comeback win. Great. It was just great. Yeah, you blew the save, but hey, Joey Gallo with big hits. Overall, big clutch hitting by the Yankees. Alrighty, so let's get to the other team in New York, and that is a less, I think, optimistic approach now if you're a Met fan today, as the Mets just got coming off of a sweep to the Los Angeles Dodgers. Mets lost 6-5 on Friday, 2-1 on Saturday, and 14-4 yesterday. And that was like, I'll tell you what, even though I'm not a Met fan, I can't stand the Mets, they kept the Dodgers close in those first 2 games. They lost 6-5 in 10 innings on Friday and 10 innings again on Saturday. They lost 2-1. Right, that's 10 innings. You've taken a very good baseball team to 10 innings. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a glass half full response here for about the first minute of this topic. They pushed them to had 2 10-inning games in that first game. And Will Smith had some big hits and a big home run and all that stuff, which ruined the Mets' hopes of winning. But still, and I believe Taijuan Walker had a no-hitter through like 6 or 7 innings. So they were playing good in those first 2 games. Yes, they lost, but hey, they pushed a very good team to 10 innings. And that's really all that matters. I know you're not getting the win. I know that is, but, at least if you want to look at I know a win's a win and all that, and a loss is a loss, but it's not like you got smoked 20-0 and then 5 or 7-1, right? Not like that, but they were close in those games. And if you're a Met fan, sure, you're not happy they're winning, but on Sunday, you got to hope, okay, yet last night on Saturday was 2-1. We almost won. Maybe there's a chance we find a way to salvage the 3rd game of the set. No. And Sunday was like a true example of how the past couple weeks have gone for the New York Mets. They get smoked 14-4. They have no chance. And I like the ESPN broadcast. I think they do a great job. I think they do awesome. I think they have a good production and all that stuff. But they said something on the broadcast last night that said, like, oh, if the Mets score 2 runs here, they're not out of this game. I'm like, are you kidding me? It's 9-2. It's 9-2. The Mets are done. They were not winning last night's game. There was no way. There was no way. They were not winning last night's game. And sure enough, you look at the score, and you're like 14-4. Yeah. What was that again? Mets score 2 runs. They're close to a win? No way. The Mets had no chance of winning that game whatsoever. And what hurt a lot was the 5 runs across the next 2 innings. In the top of the 8th, the Dodgers responded with 3. And in the top of the 9th, the Dodgers responded with 2 more. And the Dodgers, they laid a beating on the Mets. I mean, that's a Dodgers team that's saying, hey, you brung us to 2 10-inning games. That's not happening tonight. Like, the Dodgers went out and they just dominated the Mets. I mean, they just took them and just threw them around. They really did. They just took the Mets and just threw them around. That's what they did. And they smoked them 14-4. And that's a terrible loss for the Mets. Because the least you could do is salvage the final game of the 3-game set, find a way to win. I don't care if it's in 15 innings or if it's in 9 innings, if it's a 1-run game or a 10-run game. Find a way to salvage the final game of the set before you head out on the West Coast for a gauntlet of 7 games against the Giants and then the Dodgers for 4. Before you do any of that, right? You could have at least found a way to salvage the final game of the set. And nope, they looked terrible in the final game of the 3-game set. And sure, yeah, they had the 7th inning where they scored 2 runs and they showed some signs of life. Realistically, they were 1 swing of the bat from making a 3-run game. That's what the announcers were saying. But let's be honest here, even if they scored 4 more runs that inning, it's still 14-6. Okay, they were losing by 7. They had no chance. And the New York Mets season right now, after this series of getting swept, is in a downward spiral, and they continue to sink. Right now, they're not fully, they haven't fully sunk yet. They're not like a Diamondbacks or an Orioles or a Rangers or a lot of teams out there that have fully sunk. But they are very close to sinking and not getting back up. Because right now, you look at the remaining schedule here, and I know I repeat myself and I keep saying it, but I mean, we can't stress this enough how difficult their schedule is coming up. They just got swept by the Dodgers. Guess what? They still got 4 more to play against the Dodgers, and that's out West Coast. They just lost to the Dodgers. Guess what? They still got 6 more against the San Francisco Giants. Brutal. And the New York Mets don't look like they are anywhere ready to playing those series. And I know, like I said, they did bring those 2 games to 10 innings. It wasn't like it was complete blowouts. But the fact that you get smoked last night, you don't show any fight. They showed no passion, no fight. You get the first 2 games to 10 innings. Maybe there's a chance. You find a way to squeak out 1 win. And they just fall flat on national television Sunday Night Baseball. Embarrassing for the New York Mets. And they are now only 1 game above 500, 2.5 games back, and they're 3-7 in their last 10, and they're on a 3-game losing streak. The Miami Marlins are on a 4-game win streak, and the New York Mets are on a 3-game losing streak. And their run differential now is -25. They've had 443 runs scored this season, 468 allowed. It has been an awful, awful stretch of games for the New York Mets. And it doesn't get any easier with the Giants, then 4 more with the Dodgers, and then you head home and you get 3 against the Giants. And all of us baseball fans and me and even myself, we all were saying, hey, maybe the Mets go out and they find a way to win 5 and 6. You got to be satisfied. I'm going to say right now, Mets would be lucky if they win 3 games out of this stretch. They're going to be lucky if they do. Now, sure, could they still win 5? Yeah, but that means they're going to have to go 5-5 in their next 10 games, which is not easy. If you win it bit by bit, if you win last night's game, and then maybe you win tonight's game, and then maybe if you found a way to find 1 or 2 against the Dodgers, maybe you're like, okay, that's 4 or 5 games. Now all these Mets fans that are saying, oh, we might still be able to win 6 games. You're asking the Mets now to go 6-4 in their next 10, or you're asking them to go 5-5 in their next 10, and you're asking them to beat the Giants, Dodgers, and Giants. They're not doing that. I'll go, hey, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I admit when I'm wrong. I will. But right now, after what they did over the weekend, I think we could all agree, you can't be telling me if you're a Met fan that they're going to win 6 out of their next 10 and beat the Giants, beat the Dodgers, beat the Giants again, 6 out of the next 10. You can't be telling me. You can't say that. There's no way. After the weekend that they had, and I get it, they did bring those 2 games to 10 innings, but it's still a sweep. It'd be one thing if they took, imagine if they took 2 out of 3 against the Dodgers. It's a completely different story today. We're talking about the Mets right now maybe making a little bit of another run. But no, they got swept. And that's 3 games. So you talk about the 13-game set, that's 3 games. So right now, this 13-game stretch that we're all talking about, 0-3. Remember the 13-game stretch that we were talking about with the Yankees or whatever it was 13 games, I think, where you had the Red Sox, where you had like the Rays and all those teams coming out of the All-Star break, right? That was that big stretch. Now this is the Mets' big stretch. 13 games, and they're already 0-3. So if you're a Met fan today that's optimistic of them still winning 6 games out of this, you're asking the New York Mets to win 6 of their next 10, and at least, 3 of those have got to come out on the West Coast. You're telling me that they're going to find a way to win 3 out in the West Coast? Maybe they do. Maybe they do shock the world and find a way, but right now, it ain't looking good. And guess what? The pitcher tonight is NL Cy Young, contender, Kevin Gausman, who they're facing. And he's 11-5 this season with a 2.29 ERA, .97 whip, 137.1 innings pitched, 90 hits, 162 strikeouts, 43 walks, and he's only allowed 12 home runs this season. And let's just look at some of his other numbers. He's 6th in the league in win-loss record, which I don't care about. He's tied 9th in the league in strikeouts, 6th in the league in ERA, and his whip is 6th in the league. So he's a top 5, top 7 pitcher. Having a career year this year. Just look at his numbers. He's only allowed 38 runs and 35 of them earned. So he's done everything he needed to do. And he's been a really good pitcher for the San Francisco Giants this season, having a career season. So the Mets got to face him. And tomorrow they got to face Logan Webb, who actually recently has been really good. He sprung his ERA all the way down to 2.96. I actually had him in fantasy for a little bit. And then you go to Wednesday, and you face Anthony DelScafani, however you say his name. And then you have Tyler McGill out there, which DelScafani's 3.92 ERA, or 3.29 ERA. Nothing crazy, but still, you're facing those guys. Then you got to go to the Dodgers, and you get Walker Buehler. And then you get Max Scherzer, and then you get undecided there, and then Sunday will be David Price, which isn't anything crazy, but 2 out of those games, and then you got to face Buehler and Scherzer back to back, Gausman, Webb, brutal, and the New York Mets played terrible last night, and I don't even know if you can say it's the hitting because the Mets scored 4 runs. I mean, they only had 6 hits. I mean, it's not going to be easy when you allow 14. So let's be honest here. When your pitcher puts you in a 6-0 hole early, it's not easy for the offense to come back, especially the way the Mets offense has been playing. So, you could say, oh, well, there's a lot of things you could say about the Mets. Sure, the hitting is still not what they want to be. But the bullpen this weekend wasn't great either. You had the extra inning games that they blew. Letting up the home run to Will Smith. I believe that was Familia. Right? That's the issue with the Mets. It's all around right now. I think this weekend was on a team. Sure, the hitting wasn't great, but the pitching yesterday, Carrasco had a terrible performance. 6 runs allowed. I could read you his final line here. 2 innings, 6 runs, 6 hits, 6 earned, 3 Ks. He allowed 3 home runs and a walk. That's a terrible start for him. When you put yourself in a hole like that, that's not good. And that's not gonna be good. So it got so bad that Kevin Pillar had to come in and pitch. So that's not good. Sure, was the hitting good? Not really. I mean, they had 6 hits. They struck out 11 times, but they are facing Max Scherzer, and you got to realize that. I mean, if you're a pitcher of the New York Mets, you got to realize Max Scherzer's out there, and you also got to realize, in all fairness to your teammates, the hitting has stunk this season for the New York Mets. So Carrasco's got to give them a better performance. He's got to give them some length, and he's got to realize that Scherzer's out there. So sure, you could say this is all to blame on the hitting. Sure, you could say it's all to blame on the pitching. I think it's an accumulation of both. Because the Mets only had 6 hits yesterday, struck out 11 times. But also, their pitching put them in a 6-0 hole early. I mean, you gotta look at both sides. And you could say, oh, well, over the weekend it was on the Mets, or it was on the hit pitching. Yeah, I mean, they did allow 2 runs, but it's a stupid extra inning rule. And then you go, then you allow a run in the 10th as well. So, I think it's both. Because the pitching kind of blew both games on Friday and Saturday. But I also think, yesterday it was the pitching, but, you scored 4 runs. It's the hitting. I mean, you did only score 1 run on Saturday, but you're going against some good pitching. So it's 50-50. But the Mets look terrible either way. This is hitting and pitching. It's the truth. Because winning a game with 6 hits and 11 strikeouts, it's not an easy thing to do. Now, they did score 4 runs, but also winning a game when you allow 14 runs, definitely not an easy thing to do. So, Mets now out of San Francisco for 3, then to LA for 4, and then to back home for 3 more against San Francisco. And I feel like it's like a breath of fresh air after this, because then they play the Nationals and then they play the Marlins, and it's like, all right, Mets will then look like a contender then, because they'll probably win 5 of those 6 games or however many it is against those teams. I believe it's 3-3. So they'll probably win 5 of those 6 games, and all those Mets fans will be like, oh, look, we're back. So, but hey, I'm just going to tell you this. I'm just going to say this, then we'll get to the Jets and the Giants and Zach Wilson and all that stuff. I'm just going to tell you this, and I'll leave it on this. If you're a Met fan today that still believes that they can win 6 of these games, Okay? Good. You can believe that, but just realize that they've already wasted 3. So you're asking them now to go 6-4 in their next 10, and you're asking them to at least win 3 out on the West Coast. Not going to be an easy thing to do. So, sure, I might be wrong. I think the Mets would be lucky if they can win 3 or 4 games. 6, 7, 5, maybe a little bit out of reach, but we'll see. So Yankees get a big series win, and the Mets fall flat yet again. It's kind of been the story of the season. Falling flat for the New York Mets as they continue their downward spiral and their sinking of their ship. Alrighty, so coming up next here, I wanted to get into the Jets and the Giants preseason recap. Like I said, there's only so much you can take. It's one preseason game. There's only so many things you can look at and see all that stuff. But it still is football. It's still the young guys getting an opportunity. I thought Wilson looked good. I thought there was a lot of other promising things. So I'll get into that. Also get into the Giants and a lot more coming up next. Alright, so we welcome you back here. As we all know, over the weekend, the New York Jets played the New York Giants, however you want to say it, at MetLife Stadium. It was considered a Giants home game, but as we all know, the Jets and the Giants share a stadium. The New York Jets were able to get the win 12-7. Yeah, like I said, I think, I'm going to say it again because I'm going to say it about 20 times. It's preseason, so, there's only so much you could take. There's a lot of things that you could take. A lot of people don't realize preseason is a big opportunity to see what guys are capable of. I mean, that's a lot of how these coaches are making cuts. How is these organizations are cutting players is depending on not just what they do at training camp, but what they do in the preseason, what they do in, what they do in live game action, what they do, actually in the system and all that stuff. A lot that you could take in. So, sure, you might say, oh, this wasn't sure, if you're a Giants fan and you're looking at Daniel Jones, this isn't one of these games to look and see what Daniel Jones is. But as a Jet fan, it is an opportunity to see what some of these young guys bring to the table. As we have one of the youngest, I believe we might have the youngest roster in the league. I just looked at it a little bit ago, and I keep forgetting if it's the youngest or one of the youngest. I'm just going to go on and say one of the youngest because one of the youngest could still mean youngest. Either way, though, Jets have an extremely young roster, so there is so much you could take, but there's also, on the Giants end, there's a lot you could take, and on the Jets end, there is a lot you can take, but, just because the Jets win this game, that doesn't mean they're going to go 17-0 and hoist up a Lombardi trophy. So that's all I want to say. I definitely, there is some takeaways. There's definitely things to look at, but there's only so much you can take given it's one preseason game. Now, as the preseason goes on and the Jets play this upcoming Saturday against the Packers, and then they play against the Eagles, as that rolls on and as, you progressively maybe get more playing time, you could take more and more and more from each game. Because then you have joint practices, and you have, all that stuff leading up to the week and all that. You could start taking a lot more away from these games. Now, the Jets, like I said, got the win 12-7. And, the big thing, right, we all talk about it. Big thing is how does a quarterback look? Daniel Jones didn't play for the New York Giants. Zach Wilson did for the New York Jets. We'll see if Jones plays. I don't know if he will. He might play the second or third game. I mean, this isn't like Jones' rookie year where they got to see what he's capable of. He's already played 2 seasons, and this is a big year for Jones. I mean, if he doesn't have a good year this year, there's a chance there could be many different changes at quarterback and different changes to this Yankees roster, to the Giants roster overall. So we didn't see Jones, but we did see Mike Glennon. He had, I think, 2 series or about. And then we saw Thorson as well, who really struggled. He did not have a very good game. But he did his job. He did throw a touchdown, but his completion percentage was awful. He went 5 of 16. The Giants' offense didn't look great. But like I said, that's without your starters. That's without Shepard, without Barkley, without Jones out there, without your starting guy. So, it's not going to look perfect. It's not going to look like the Chiefs' offense, if you follow what I'm saying. But the biggest takeaway here is, and like I said, you look at, it was, I thought Ty Johnson had some really good runs. Michael P. Ryan punched in for a touchdown. Denzel Mims had a really good game. I like Denzel Mims a lot. I think the Jets should use him more. I mean, he's got a ton of potential. We'll see what he's capable of. Corey Davis had a couple really nice catches. Keelan Cole had a really nice catch from, Wilson. So there is a lot to take. But the biggest thing all of us Jets fans were talking about and looking at was, what does Zach Wilson look like? And I said it on Friday. I'm going to be looking at a lot of stuff. I want to see what the secondary looks like a little bit. We all want to see what Wilson looks like. He's the main focus, right? He's the quarterback. He's supposed to be the guy, right? We're all going to want to watch Wilson. He's the new guy. So we want to see what he's capable of. We want to see if he makes a good first impression. And first impressions, they always say, are the hardest thing to make. You always want to make a good first impression, right? And I think a lot of us Jets fans were optimistic, but there's always that part of you that's like, it's his first game, probably going to be nervous, just don't force any bad throws. Is he going to look shaky in the pocket? There's always all those questions, not just with him, but with any quarterback. Lawrence, Fields, Lance, any of the quarterbacks that got drafted, there's always those questions. And any quarterback in NFL history that gets drafted, there's always those questions. How does he look in the pocket? How does he deliver a ball? How is his arm strength? There's always those questions. That's how you gauge whether or not you're going to draft a guy, whether or not you're going to sign a guy, whether you're not going to trade for a guy. That's how you gauge a lot of times. And I thought Zach Wilson on Saturday, looked really calm and collected in the pocket. I think he looked really comfortable in the pocket, because rookies a lot of times, as I mentioned on Friday, and like I said, I went into a lot of this too on Friday. Rookies a lot of times when they get, sometimes when they get the ball, first NFL game, or even just NFL action in general, it's a quicker game. It's, a lot of just faster guys coming at you. The game's faster. Sometimes they panic and sometimes they just throw the ball. And they're not really looking, they just throw the ball. I mean, they sometimes just throw it. And that happens a lot of times where guys, they'll start to panic. They might run out of the pocket, and instead of just throwing it away, they'll just release it across the middle. Wilson didn't do that last night. He did not do that last night. Saturday. You get what I'm saying. He did not do that on Saturday. He looked really calm in the pocket. And I think that was our biggest thing as Jets fans. Sure, he didn't throw a touchdown, but he didn't really get the whole opportunity to. He only played 2 possessions, right? I mean, and they ran the ball a lot, and we saw a lot what this offense is going to be. So, there's always that, there's always that thing, oh, well, he didn't throw a touchdown. Yeah, but, they ran the ball a lot. He did get them a scoring drive. They did kick a field goal with him. He just looked really crisp in the pocket. And one of the things that I think, one of the biggest takeaways from the night that he played, was, in the drives that he plays, was the 1 third down conversion where the pocket collapsed a little bit, and very well, any rookie could have panicked and just threw the ball. He stayed calm, pocket collapsed a little bit, and he delivered a bullet to, I believe it was Keelan Cole. It was like a 3rd down and long, like a 3rd down and 14, and delivered a bullet to Keelan Cole, which was for about 16 yards. And that was, I think, his best throw of the night. And it was awesome, considering the pocket was collapsing, and he delivered a strike. Quarterbacks, very well, any quarterback, not just rookies, could panic there and just throw the ball. He stayed calm. He acted like he had an open pocket, and he threw a bullet to Keelan Cole. And that's something that the New York Jets, I got so excited when I saw that throw. Because that's something, as Jets fans, we haven't seen in a long time. We haven't seen these long 3rd down and conversions. When Gaze was when Goofy Eyes was the head coach, he was calling these crazy run plays. He was like, 3rd down and 14, let's run the ball, get 2 yards, and then let's punt it. That wasn't it. That's not what that's not what the Jets now will do. 3rd down and 14, hey, Jets could have played the safe game and ran the ball and say, you know what, it's Wilson's first game, let's not overthrow him too much. They could have very well said that. No, instead, they let Wilson throw, and the pocket collapsed a little bit. Wilson stayed calm, and Wilson delivered a bullet. I think that was his best throw of the night. I think he made a lot of good throws. I think his first throw was good too. I was watching the game, and I was like, it's the first throw. Once you get the first one out of the way, that's really when you just can calm down, and you're like, all right, I can do this. That's really the big one. Once you get that first throw out of the way. And he got that out of the way to Corey Davis. Corey Davis made some really nice plays. He made 2 nice plays. He had two catches for 18 yards. I'll tell you what, Wilson definitely targets him heavily. He got a good amount of targets. He's the number 1. So Wilson's going to have to definitely, really look at him a lot. Crowder, I believe, had a catch. It might have been with Wilson. I'm not sure. Like I said, I don't remember everything, but it was a really good. And Wilson looked really solid, and that's really what I wanted to see. I don't care if he doesn't throw 80 yards. I don't care if he doesn't throw 115 yards for 2 touchdowns. I don't care. What I was looking for was, I wasn't even really worried about the numbers. What I was looking for was how he looks in the pocket, how he's throwing the ball. I also wanted to see what the Jets offense looks like, and I do think we got a good sneak peek. That is something that you could take away from preseason. Like, that's what the Jets offense is going to look like. That's not something they're changing just from preseason. That's the Jets offense. That's the West Coast offense. Running a lot and setting up short conversions, 2nd down and 4, 3rd down and 2, for Wilson to throw it. If it's a 2nd down and 8, Wilson throws it, right? That's going to be a lot of it. It's going to be run, throw. Run, throw here. Right? That's what the Jets offense is. So that is something that we could take away from spring. That is something that we could take away from preseason and fully take away. Like, that's the Jets offense. That's the West Coast offense. That's what's going to be the Jets running all season. So if you're a Jet fan and you saw that, that's what they're going to be running. That's not just in preseason. That's going to be for all 17 games this season, rather. So that's their offense, and I think we got a really good look at what Wilson's capable of. I mean, we saw his arm strength on display. We did. I mean, he throws bullets. He does. That ball gets out of his hand quickly, and it's fast. And that's one of the things that the Jets really liked about him coming out of BYU, was his accuracy and his ability to throw the ball deep and throw really fast. And everything else, pocket presence, all that stuff. All around a good quarterback. But I was really happy. And there's always that part of you that says, oh, what if he doesn't do good and the New York media is going to crush him? And no, he did his job. He said that he wasn't too nervous, but I would say he's probably nervous. He definitely calmed his emotions because he went out there and he honestly looked like he's played in a game before, in an NFL game. Like, he did not look like he was rushed. It did not look like he was, panicking at all. He looked calm. He delivered really good throws. And for a first preseason start, you got to be really, really happy at what you saw at Zach Wilson if you're a New York Jets fan. All right, so let's get to the numbers for him. He went 6 of 9 for 63 yards. 7 was his average. I thought it was 10.5, but as 7, I guess, was his average. He had an 86.8 rating. Like I said, no touchdowns, no picks. But like I said, he only played 2 possessions, and we saw a lot what the offense is going to do. We threw the ball 37 times, and we ran the ball 37 times. So that's what the offense is going to look like. It's going to be it's going to be balanced. It's a balanced offense. It's not too run heavy. It's not too pass heavy. It's balanced. And we probably will tend to run the ball a little bit more, but that's just how it is. And that's why Wilson fits in his offense. Because as a rookie quarterback, you can't ask him to throw 60 times a game. You're going to have to ask him to throw less than that, right? As a rookie quarterback, you got to put him in good situations, and you got to give him good opportunities. So he looked really good. And the next Jets spring training game. The next Jets preseason game is Saturday, and then their final one's Friday, and then they'll gear up for the regular season, which is Sunday, September 12th at 1 p.m. against Carolina. It's crazy how the spreads are already out for these games. Like, I think it's crazy. Like, once the schedule was released, they already came out with the spreads. I think it's just wild. Like, really? You really need to come out with the spreads? Like, come on. It's just like, it's still August, and here we're all talking about, oh, who's the favorite in week 1. It's August. And you got to see how everyone else does throughout the preseason. Like, how these players look and stuff like that, and then you could really base off of what you see. Because you can only take so much from preseason. But there is definitely a lot of things you could take. Some other things too, just some quick other things, and then I'll touch a little bit on the Giants. Not because I'm not a Giants fan, but the Giants, they didn't have many starters playing, so it's kind of tough to say what you saw, what you didn't see, because they didn't have many starters playing. It's not like Daniel Jones was playing, and we could see what he does. It's not like Kenny Golladay was playing or Barkley was playing. None of them played, so it's kind of really tough to give a true gauge. I will tell you what, their offense it showed that it still is a work in progress. And the Jets defense looked really good. The Jets defense delivered 5 sacks, which 1.5 by Rashad Jr. Huff had 2 sacks. He had a really good game. He also had 2 tackles for loss. Jonathan Marshall had a sack. Dwumfor had a half a sack. He also had a tip ball at the line of scrimmage. So they had 5 sacks and 4 tackles for loss. They had 46 total tackles and 21 solo tackles. They had 7 pass defenses. They had 10 quarterback hits, and no touchdowns, obviously. So they definitely did their job. But like I said, I think the main thing that showed for the New York Giants was their offensive line still a work in progress, and we know it's gonna be. I mean, it's not gonna be perfect. It's not gonna be something that's gonna be all of a sudden great. I mean, you really can't call the offensive line solid. You can't say that when it's not solid. There's still moving parts, and we saw that on display, and that's going to happen. I mean, that's going to happen with a lot of these teams. It's a work in progress. There's a lot of mixing and mashing, and there's still a lot of guys that, they're going to put in there, and they're going to get opportunities, and we're going to see what they're capable of. So that's kind of the gist of it, because, other than that, that's kind of it. The Giants had no other starters, so it's not like we could sit here and talk about Daniel Jones or Galladay. I mean, I would have to say that I understand Galladay's been in the league and Jones, this is his 3rd season. It's not like they're both rookies. But you got to at least get him into one preseason game. Because, their new receiver-quarterback combo, it's almost like they're 2 rookies. Because they're learning each other. They're learning how each other plays. Right? And, that's why we always talk about building chemistry between quarterback and receiver. It might seem easy, just throw the ball to him. No, it's not that easy. You got to recognize their speed. You got to recognize their strengths, their weaknesses. Also just kind of their timing's got to be right. Some receivers are quicker than others. That's also some things that got to be right? Those are all things. Miscommunications too. Maybe Jones thought Galladay was running a different route, or maybe they were both on target, but maybe Galladay's just there's always part, and that happens with anyone. And that's why I'm glad that Corey Davis got some playing time too. And that's why I'm glad Wilson really threw it a lot to Davis, because they're getting used to each other. That's what happens. That's how it is. So, definitely a lot to take on the Jets side, not as much on the Giants side. I don't mean that in a negative way, but the Giants didn't have many starters. So, sure, you could talk about 3rd string, Billy Bob Joe over here. He had 3 tackles, but I don't know if Billy Bob Joe is really going to be playing that much. Kind of just that thing. I know that's a stupid example, but you follow what I'm saying. So, I really was happy with what I saw from Wilson. I think this offense looks good in terms of, the way they're going to run it. That's not going to change. That's how the Jets offense is going to be run all year. And I think as you're a Jets fan today, you just definitely should be really happy with his performance. And that's kind of it. Defense looked good too. And secondary is a work in progress. It's a work in progress. Secondary is just like the Giants' offensive line. It's a work in progress. It's going to be different guys here and there. And Saleh's even kind of, hinted towards it. And I think us Jets fans know. I mean, by week 3, there could be a different combo out there. I mean, there could be. I think it's going to be in and out, in and out. If this guy's not having a good game, you bring someone else in. If this guy's got a stretch of 3 weeks where he's not playing good, bring someone else in. If he's having a really good stretch, bring him up and bump him into a higher role, right? There's going to be a lot of depth at the position at cornerback. And a lot of that depth is going to be used this season, because it's going to be a lot of work in progress, and it's going to be work in progress into next season and the season after that. And then finally, you'll get a stable core. That's how the Jets are running it. So, definitely good performance to Wilson. Defense looked good. All in all, it's a Jets win. I was saying this the other day. Even though it's preseason, us Jets fans have not experienced much winning recently. We won 2 games last season, as we all know. So even though it's preseason and it's not the regular season and it's against the Giants, some of their backups, it still feels nice because we haven't experienced winning much. So winning is like new to us. It really is. Winning is foreign to Jets fans. It really is, because Jets have not been able to win much recently, and hopefully that changes. Hopefully that changes under all this new management stuff. So. Definitely, some positive, definitely a lot of positives, and I'm excited to see how these next 2 preseason games unfold and how everything else plays out. All right, so that's what I got for the New York sports, or that's what I got for the Jets and the Giants. All right, let's see here. Let's get the New York sports update here. By the way, I have my fantasy football draft on Thursday, so that's going to be exciting. I'm ready for that. there's so many things that are going through my mind, like who to draft, who not to draft, guys that you can look at, all these different things. It's just how it is, though. It always happens where I go through like a million different possibilities, and even like, they always say that, like, even if you go through billions of different possibilities. I write things down. What if I'm here, and what if this guy does here, and here and here and here. I write down all these situations. You could call me a nerd, whatever you want. I do take fantasy football very seriously. I take any fantasy sport very seriously. And then when the actual draft comes, it's almost like everything that you planned and everything that you planned for just goes out the window, and you're in a different world. That's always what it seems like with me. It happened like it. I don't know. It's pretty, it's just how it is, I guess. I mean, it's just funny because, like, I go through all these different scenarios of, like today, for example, I went through, if I'm the 12th pick, I ran through some different scenarios of who I could have there, and it's a snake draft, so who I might take with that next pick. And I also run through some scenarios with who's in the second round could be available when I get the pick. Who could be a sleeper that I could pick? Who could be a guy that maybe someone reaches for that maybe I was looking for then? Those are all different possibilities. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like, I go through all that, and then the draft comes, and it's like everything goes out the window because all the possibilities that you had, all those possibilities that you brainstormed, none of that happened. It always seems like that happens. So we'll see how it goes, but that's Thursday. So that's fun. But anyway, let's get to the MLB games today. You can also do mock drafts actually on. I do ESPN. I don't do like Yahoo or CBS or that stuff. I do ESPN Fantasy. So you can just go down. You can go to your football and try a mock draft and that stuff. I've tried a mock draft. I've had some days where I have the 8th pick, 12th pick, just different scenarios. And it's good too because it's different leagues and different people draft differently. So you kind of get a gauge of what it could look like. Because you might say, if I have the 5th pick, I'm taking this guy. Well, yeah, if the first 4 picks go the way that you wanted them to. Right? If I get the 2nd pick, I'm taking Dalvin Cook. Or if I get the 3rd pick, I'm taking Dalvin Cook. Well, okay, what if Dalvin Cook gets to take the 2nd pick? Then what are you going to do? Right? So there's always those things. I think if you get the number 1 pick this year, I'm just making a public service announcement. If you get the number 1 pick in your fantasy football league this year, I think Christian McCaffrey's an automatic lock. I don't think anyone else is. Especially if you're in a PPR league where he can catch, he can run, he can do a lot, he can do everything. He's the best running back in the league. I mean, he's just dominant. When he's healthy, he's on a different level. So I think if you are in a fantasy league and you have not drafted yet, I would take Christian McCaffrey. You get the number 1 pick. I will do my rankings. I'll probably either do it Thursday or Wednesday. Just my fantasy rankings and all that stuff, and all that good stuff. So anyway, let's get to the New York sports update. And if you haven't, if you did already draft and you drafted Christian McCaffrey, well, you made the right decision. Alrighty, so let's get to Let's get to the update here. Yesterday, Padres won, Blue Jays won, Angels won, Giants won, Twins won, Rangers won, Cardinals won, Reds won, Marlins won, Braves won, Red Sox won, Brewers won, and Indians won. Mets lost 14-4, and the Yankees won 5-3, as I talked about earlier on. Alrighty, so let's get to the topics today. Got games today, Monday, so not as many games on, considering it's usually travel day and day off. Coming out of the weekend, we got Braves, Marlins. I'll give Braves the win. Reds, Cubs. I'll give Reds the win. Orioles, Rays. Give Rays the win. Cheaters, Royals. Give Cheaters the win. A's, White Sox. It's kind of funny. This is how sports are. We went from rooting against the White Sox as Yankee fans, obviously over the weekend, wanting us to beat them, to now rooting for the White Sox as they'll face up against the A's. Give me the White Sox. If the A's, we need the A's to lose because that's the other team that we're battling for. The A's and the Red Sox we need to lose along with the Tampa Bay Rays. If there's any chance we want to win the division, we need the Rays to start losing. Pretty much, the A's, Red Sox, Rays, we need to lose. Only so much of that's in our control because we do get the A's in a little bit here at a West Coast trip. And then we do get the Red Sox starting tomorrow. So there is some that you can control, and there's some of it that out of your control. So, and we do get the Blue Jays also, and they're behind us. So that's an opportunity to, kind of push them more, maybe make them further back rather than them right on our tails. But I think we play the Blue Jays later on, like September, I think. And then we also have some easy series, like the Orioles. Like, that's a golden opportunity to take a couple games against them. All right, so let's get to some more of these games here. We got the Twins-Indians. I'll give Twins to win. Padres-Rockies, give Padres to win. Dodgers-Pirates, give Dodgers to win. Giants-Mets play today. Giants come in this game 76-42. Mets come into this game 59-58. This game comes on today, 9:45 p.m. Eastern Time on NBCS Bay Area. You can also find it on SNY. Mets got Rich Hill in the mound. He's 6-4 with a 4.05 ERA. And the Giants, San Francisco Giants, got Kevin Gausman on the mound. He's having a career year this year. He's 11-5 with a 2.29 ERA. The over-under for this game is 8.5. 79% of people think the Giants will win. Give me the San Francisco Giants. Alrighty, as for today, we also got the Yankees and the Angels. Yankees come in this game 65-52. Angels come in this game 59-60. Mathematically not eliminated from the playoffs, but not really close either. Today, this comes on today at 7:05 p.m. Eastern Time on LB Network. You can also find this game on Yes Network. Angels got Suarez on the mound. He's 5-5 with a 3.90 ERA, and the Yankees got Garrett Cole as he returns from the COVID IL. He's 10-6 with a 3.11 ERA this season, and the over/under for this game is 8.5. 82% of people think the Yankees will win. Give me the Yankees. This is interesting. Is the lineup already out? No, it's not. See, this is funny because this is the lineup that was supposed to happen. So this was the lineup that was supposed to happen because this was supposed to happen. So this is not the lineup though, because this game was supposed to happen when the Angels came in for a 4-game set. June, I believe, June-ish, somewhere around there. June, July, somewhere around there. So this was the lineup that was going to play in this game. Just think about this for a second. LeMahieu, Judge, Voit, Stanton, Torres, Urshela, Andujar, Garner, and Higashioka. That has changed a lot. Urshela injured. Andujar injured. Okay, Sanchez wasn't in this lineup. Higgy is there. No Gallo. Rizzo's obviously on the COVID IL, but definitely some changes. Torres hurt right now. It's crazy when you look at lineups from like 2 months or 2 months before. Even, I remember I did that a couple years ago with the Yankees when they had the big injury thing in 2019, I think it was. You looked at their opening day lineup, it was like stacked. It had a lot of good guys. And you look at the lineup at the end of the season, it was like Talkman and it was like Urshela and all these random guys. It was like, where did these guys fly in? That was at the time where Urshela was a no-name. Now Urshela's turned into our everyday third baseman, but you get what I'm saying. So that's what I got for the MLB. I'll give the Yankees the win today. Let's see if the percentages come up. Yes, 82% of people think the Yankees win. Give me the Yankees. Alrighty, as for fantasy baseball, currently winning, I won, actually, over the weekend. If I can, this can get up here. Alrighty, so I won over the weekend by a score of 362 to 241. So I got the job done. I am now 10-8 on the season, and I am now 5th. I'm still a 5th seed in the playoffs. So I still got a lot to play for. I'm trying to get the 4 seed, but I do need some help doing it. 4 seed's the ultimate goal. 3 seed is not out of the equation yet, although I need a lot of help. I need to win my next 3 games, and I need the guy that's a 3 seed to lose his next 3 games. So 2 seeds also not completely out of the equation either. So I still have a lot of things. 4 seed's probably the most realistic thing. I would like to get the 4 seed because that means if I win, I would love to get the 3 seed because that means no matter what, I don't have to play the 1 seed. And the 1 seed's got a really good team. So I would love to get the 3 seed. I'd be satisfied if I get the 4 seed. Anything less, not going to be happy. I am probably going to make the playoffs, though. I've got a 99% chance to make the playoffs. So pretty much I would have to fall off the rails, and the guy behind me would have to make a massive run, and his team's not very good. So 99% chance to make the playoffs, and hopefully I can really secure that this upcoming week here. This is my lineup for today's game. I got Will Smith, Matt Olson, Austin Riley, Jake Cronenworth, Carlos Correa, Whit Merrifield, Austin Meadows, Manuel Margot, Josh Harrison, and Luke Voit. I've also got some injury updates, or actually I made a roster move, so I activated Garrett Cole off the IL, and I dropped Eric Lawyer. He was a pitcher that I added over the weekend to pitch. He did his job. He's been good, so I dropped him as he won't pitch again until Saturday, I believe. And some injury updates are as followed. I got a lot of injury updates. A lot of guys that are day-to-day. So Josh Harrison's day-to-day. Harrison Quadriceps is not in the lineup Sunday against the Rangers. That was yesterday. Dylan Carlson, no real update on him. He's got a wrist injury. Alex Bregman, there is an update on him. Houston General Manager James Click said Sunday the team remains unsure when Bregman Quadriceps will resume his rehab assignment at AAA Sugar Land. Danielle Lerner of the Houston Chronicle reports. So he's still a little bit from being back. We'll see how that goes. And in Garrett Cole, there's an update on him. Manager Aaron Boone said Cole, COVID-19, will return from the injured list Monday and start against the Angels. Lindsay Adler of The Athletic reports. So very good news to see Cole's back. And not just for my fantasy team, but for the New York Yankees. Good news to get your ace back. That's always a good thing. Especially with how the bullpen's been. Definitely could use your ace and give him some length. Now, I don't know, like I said earlier in the podcast, I don't know how much he's going to pitch, if he's going to pitch, if he's just going to pitch like he normally does and take him out whenever they feel the need to, or if they got him on a limit. I'm sure Boone will be asked that in his pregame press conference. I'm sure they've communicated with Cole. I mean, if Cole's a very big, he's a huge competitor. So if it's up to Cole, he would probably, if it was up to Cole would probably say, just throw me out there and let me pitch and, until the certain situation arises where, I'm not going to pitch anymore. But the Yankees might think otherwise. So it's kind of one of those things where it's interesting because the player might want to pitch a lot, but the team might not want to stretch him that much. So we'll see how it goes. Either way, though, even if he does only throw 80, 85 pitches, if he can give us 6 innings, that would be very good. And, keep us in the game, and that's all that we really need here. And then, as he progressively gets back, if he did lose weight, then there's definitely, if he did lose some weight, that's what everyone's saying, then, like I said, this is not official. This is what everyone's saying, that he did lose some weight. I mean, he might get asked a question. Boone might get asked a question. I'm sure it's going to come up in the pregame today, so I'm sure we'll find out. Right now, we're still a long ways from the game. So, games comes on at 7 Eastern. We're still a while from game time. So, no decision will be made yet, but I'm sure they've already communicated what they're going to want to do. I don't. It's not going to be one of those things where they throw him out there for 2 innings. No, they'll probably 80, 85 pitches, somewhere around there, but we'll see. All right, so with all that being said, that'll do it for the podcast here today. Another packed podcast. I mean, Mondays are always packed. They always are, always have been. Just coming out of the weekend, with all the sports, and that I don't do the podcast on the weekend. So, all the sports that comes up. I did want to get to some DeGrom stuff. I wanted to get some Michael Thomas stuff. So still a ton of topics to get to, and depending on how the Yankees and Mets do, I'll also talk about them. Football, tons and tons to talk about. Very exciting time of year. You got football coming up, or exciting time for sports anyway. You got football. You got baseball, all that stuff. Well, it does kind of mean the end of summer when football comes around, but still, you got some good baseball, which is obviously the summer sport. So that will do it for the podcast. Yankees, Mets today. We'll see if the Yankees continue their little win streak here after taking 2 in Chicago. And we'll see if the Mets can find a way to show some life. Let's start there. Let's not get the win. Let's show some life first. After last night's grueling 14-4 loss. That's embarrassing to watch. I'm not even a Met fan, and you're sitting there and you're like, this is embarrassing. National television, the Mets just got destroyed. But anyway, as you all know, see you all back here tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.